how do you approach Washington's views and actions regarding slavery?
I think it's real important to be open and candid about it because, I mean, it's very controversial these days, and properly so, but also these are human beings whose lives were blighted, the enslaved people of early America. Washington, until his middle years, so when he goes off to be commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, shows no evidence of regret, doubts, concern about the morality of slavery. I looked for it, I couldn't find it. His military service changes him in the Continental Army, and I see it as two factors. One is he was exposed to anti-slavery views extensively. In Virginia, there just were not a lot of people walking around saying slavery is terrible. It's certainly not in his social milieu. But in the Army, he was surrounded by people like Lafayette and Alexander Hamilton, a fellow named John Lawrence from South Carolina, who thought slavery was a crime and told him so. I think he also was confronted by the remarkable display of courage by African-American soldiers who joined the Army, even though they faced terrible prejudice and many had been slaves, and gave their health and, in many instances, their lives for American liberty, his liberty. And I think he just had to face up to the fact that owning them was a crime. During the war, he resolves to become a good slave owner, and he instructs his farm manager to follow certain practices that a good slave owner would follow. But he realizes, I think, pretty quickly that that's just an oxymoron. It's silly. There is no such thing as a good slave owner. And he spends about 10 years, the last 10 years of his life, trying to figure out a way to stop being a slave owner. And it's a balance. He doesn't want to lose his standard of living. He's got this unfortunate legal conundrum, which is about a little more than a third of the slaves at Mount Vernon he owns, and he can free them. But the rest of them are actually owned by Martha's first husband's estate. It's a very sort of complicated thing. But Washington cannot free them unless he buys them from the estate, and he has to pay a fair price because the beneficiaries of the estate are Martha's grandchildren, who are his step-grandchildren. And so he needs a lot of cash. It was more cash than he'd ever had in his life. And he owns a lot of land, much speculative land out west, and he tries to sell it. And with friends, just a few intimates, he's clear that he is trying to sell this land so he can then free his slaves, or at least lease the land so he has enough income to pay out over time. But he never succeeds. And in his final year, he just confronts the fact that it's not going to happen. He's not going to make that happen. So he rewrites his will to free the slaves he owns. And there's just nothing he can do about the others. It's awkward because both groups of slaves lived at Mount Vernon. There's been intermarriage, so you would have a family that would be part free and part enslaved, which is very difficult. And he bemoans that, but it's the best he can do. And when he dies, his will is implemented by Martha and his executors, and I think some 130 some slaves are set free. It's a partial action. I think he did it principally as an act of personal contrition, but some people wonder if he was hoping to set a example for the country. I think he would have been delighted if he had, but he was a hard-headed guy, and I don't think he really expected that, and it didn't work. So the only ones who were freed because of him were his own enslaved people. So it's a very mixed legacy. It was an issue that America struggled with for decades and ineffectively, and he did too.